on Kennedy tonight, so you should watch Fox Business, 8 p.m. live.
Well, the social network is becoming a social outcast. Facebook stock lost $36 billion in market value today after revelations that a data mining firm with ties to the president, the Trump campaign, reportedly stole the personal information of 50 million users. That's according to a Cambridge Analytica whistleblower. But Mark Zuckerberg, his problems don't end there because several lawmakers, including Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, are calling for a full-fledged investigation, saying, quote, people have to look into it. Whether or not it broke the law, absolutely. The privacy of the American consumer, the American individual, should be protected. The company acknowledged Friday that Cambridge Analytica obtained the information during a 2015 data breach, but critics say they didn't do enough to pursue the issue. And breaking tonight, the New York Times reporting Facebook's chief information security officer resigned over differences on how to handle disinformation. So will this be the moment when everyone unfriends Facebook? And if not now, when? Let me go to my Cybertronic party panel. She's a correspondent for the Greg Gutfeld Show. Kat Timpf is here, along with the Daily Caller editor-in-chief and author of The Art of the Donald, Chris Bedford, and Fox News political analyst Jehmu Greene is here tonight as well. Let's talk about this because every successful presidential campaign since President Obama in 2008 has used social media to their advantage, and they all use these psychoanalytic tools and outside companies in order to best mine information to figure out who their voters are, target them, and save money. Everyone's doing it. Why is this different?
Well, I don't necessarily think this is different. I think we are seeing something being revealed that has been there all along. Whether it is Facebook or Twitter, there is nefarious activity happening on their platforms. I believe these companies have known about them for quite some time, and they have put profit above all else, above corporate responsibility. And we absolutely have to have an investigation. Guess what, Kennedy? This is what Democrats were calling for right after the 2016 election, saying we need a full-fledged investigation into this. And we've gone off on all these different tangents, and Russia has certainly taken the forefront. But it is about these social media platforms, and it's how to protect our democracy moving forward.
But everyone uses it. I mean, this is the nice thing about this. This is not Republican or Democrat. You know, this is the Wild West, and everyone's trying to be the one at the saloon who gets their hands on the trigger first.
Everything about this is blown completely out of proportion. I called a guy who's been revolutionizing Republican data technology for years, and I said, what's the story here? And he said, there's kind of two parts. Everything about Cambridge Analytica is overblown, and reporters are stupid. This guy didn't get 50 million users' data. They set up an app back in the wild, wild west of Facebook when people were allowed more access that was running surveys on people and doing personality tests, which are largely kind of stupid. Like, are you going to be late? Are you going to be early? What kind of ice cream do you like? And then they had all of those people's friends, which brings it up to 50 million people. So they had the names of people who were friends. And then since the press is so eager to say, like, oh, Steve Bannon, criminal mastermind, evil genius, was involved, this must have just been, they hacked the election. That's absurd. Of course they didn't. They just took data and they didn't give it back.
Hillary Clinton, that was, you know, her second to most recent target was Facebook. And she was saying Facebook allowed the Russians to come in and buy a bunch of ads, and people saw fake stories, and they voted against me.
Yeah, I don't really think that was the main problem.
And we're going to talk about Hillary a little later in the show. But what do you see when you look at all of this? You're a rationalist. I mean, you always have an interesting way of taking these stories apart. Are the New York Times and other publications making too much of it, and the Trump campaign having hired Cambridge Analytica?
No, I don't think so. I think that whenever you're talking about personal information, it has a way of freaking people out. I'm freaked out by it. I just want to know what personal information means. Does that mean like my profile picture? Because that's not really that personal. Does it mean who I'm talking to on Facebook chat? Because that is very personal. I don't want that stuff to get out there somewhere, even though I did willingly give it up to the company like an idiot. But sometimes you want to just send the message where it's got the timestamp so you can, you know, see if they saw it or not. You don't have to deal with that emotionally. But I would like to see it investigated because whenever your personal information's at stake, I think that's something that matters to people because they trust these apps.
Do you think Facebook is better at spying on Americans than the NSA?
No, the NSA is excellent at spying on Americans. They probably would have the best targeted ads ever if they were in the advertising business.
Why don't they start a social network?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Well,
they could get info, they could sell it.
Who knows if they already aren't in the game?
U.S. Intel was involved in the internet from the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. Ted Stevens said it was a series of tubes. I believe him. All right, we're going to see much more with the party panel a little later on in the show. First up, I'm going to talk about the president. He's calling for the death penalty for drug dealers. But how will that solve the opioid epidemic in America? I will discuss with the one and only Peter Suderman next.
Foes that want to make sure my casket's closed. Rap critics say it's money cash. I'm from the hood, stupid, what type of...
Well, hello. She's not saying sorry. Hillary Clinton doubling down on her belief that she lost the 2016 election. Here's a new one. Because white women were pressured to vote for Trump by their oppressive husbands. Clinton offered an explanation in a Facebook post this weekend. It read, quote, "Do I believe that some women look at a powerful woman and question whether she can lead, maybe voting for the man their husband is voting for instead? It may not be universally true or easy to hear, but yes." Even Democrats aren't defending this one. Here's the longtime Clinton supporter and Illinois Senator Dick Durbin on Fox News Sunday. Dick?
Hillary Clinton, like every American, has the right to express her point of view, and she obviously gets press coverage. But we are moving on to the next chapter in American history. We have a new Democratic leadership and more people aspiring to be a candidate in 2020. It'll be a different cast of characters completely.
Translation, go away! Have Democrats finally wised up and moved on from the Clinton machine? The party panel is back. Kat Timpf, Chris Bedford, and Jehmu Greene. Kat, I will start with you. What an incredibly narrow-minded thing to say to people. Right. You didn't vote for me, which means you are controlled by a man. That means you're a mindless zombie and you're dumb. I should be making decisions for you instead.
Right, and what bothered me is that although she didn't apologize, she did say that she meant no disrespect, which you're really saying to these specific women that she thinks they're so incapable of thinking for themselves that they actually just absorb whatever opinions that their husbands have because they're just like a black hole of nothingness and they have no original thought. That is disrespectful.
They
so
get
if you want to disrespect them,
osmosis.
if that's what you think, then fine. But don't try to say that you don't disrespect these people because that's the definition of disrespect.
It is disrespectful. It is also wildly entertaining. And I, for one, as someone who hosts a nightly political talk show, think that this is fantastic because every time, I mean, she keeps going. This is the third time we've been covering the same story, from the dumb thing she said in India, and then she said another dumb thing, and then she wrote a bunch of dumb things because apparently they do not have liquor laws in Chappaqua County.
You know, and we wonder why she chose India as her audience for this. India is not exactly a place where women have nearly the same amount of rights as they do in the United States.
They also have a caste system.
Women in the audience might have been thinking you get away with just having to vote for who your man said, but it goes to these identity politics the Democrats have pushed, and my fear with Hillary Clinton is she's actually starting to believe it. She's buying into this whole thing, and it's not just theater, it's not just to get out the vote, it's something she actually truly believes. How could you not be with her?
Oh, this is what I love. She wrote, there is anecdotal evidence in some research to suggest that women are unfortunately more swayed by men than the other way around. Yes, in 1947.
Can we move on from this?
That's my question.
Will anyone
Don't you want to move on from this?
Hillary
I love her.
Here's the thing. There are lots of former presidential candidates that go on speaking tours, and not every single word that they say is parsed. I think from this point on, it would be great if Hillary just started speaking in memes. Remember when she had the meme, which actually led to the email situation?
Other presidential candidates don't insult half of America.
Okay, here's a really important point. Okay, Albert Gore, God bless his hypocrisy and his need for touchy massages. Al Gore went and talked about the climate and climate change, made a movie, won an Oscar. Albert Gore didn't sit around going, well, you know, the reason I lost was because of dangling chads in the Supreme Court and me.
He still does
didn't do that.
He still does drop that president joke every time, though, like, I am the former future president of the United States. He never has dropped that, Al Gore. Also, Al Gore needed the money. I don't know why Hillary Clinton's still going around. She's got the money.
You got to have something.
Man, all you got to do is squeeze out the Clinton Foundation. A few billion fall right on your lap.
Well, the Clinton Foundation is out there doing good work.
The Lord's work, yes. United Arab Emirates gave us so much money because we're deworming the orphans.
Their work was touted by President Trump today in his speech about the opioid crisis. That's how great their work is. But I do think we need to stop covering every single word that she says, and it would be in her best interest just to continue doing the work of her life.
If that were true,
women.
If that were true, then Claire McCaskill and Dick Durbin and a bunch of other of her former friends wouldn't have to come out and say, stop talking. If she were so great and wonderful with this illuminated career in intelligence, people wouldn't have to tell her to shut her claptrap.
It's not even championing women, it's championing her.
Yes, that's exactly right. I'm with her, as she pointed out today on Outnumbered. Jehmu, Chris, and Kat, thank you guys so much. All right, you never know what life is going to throw your way. Hopefully a bunch of money.